The first exposure to a kind of social media that I ever had, that I was on, was this app called Musically. It's like the pre-version of TikTok. I was like 10 and all these other kids in my class had it and all my friends had it, and they were like, hey, you should get this app. You can make like lip syncing videos and it's really fun. You can do it with your friends. And me being 10, I'm like, okay, let's try this. And that was the first exposure I ever had to a social media. And to say that that was addicting is an understatement. I would be on it constantly, like 4, 5, 6 hours a day. I'd be thinking about it constantly. I'd be in class thinking like, oh, how do I get the duet with these famous people, or what song am I going to do when I get home? And being a 10-year-old, you should not be thinking about that. You should be thinking about playing sports or Nerf wars or building Legos, whatever it is. I don't know. But being exposed to social media and experiencing that addiction at that young was, I'd say, not necessarily detrimental, because I got off of it pretty quickly, because I knew like, hey, this is not for me. But it allowed me to grasp the power of stealing your attention that these social medias have. And I also went through a similar phase with Instagram of like a year after, and I also got out of that pretty quickly. But I found that that was also taking a toll on my mental health. I was always checking how many likes my pictures had gotten, even though I'm like 11 and no one really cares, like how I'm posting like all these selfies and whatever I'm doing. And you should not be on social media at that young and it taking all of your attention from everything else that you're trying to do. Now, if you're on self-improvement like I am, I'm sure you've tried to delete your social medias before, and it's been a struggle. And I understand that, because deleting the app might not be enough, because you'll always find a way back onto it. And it's a process that takes time. You're not going to win the war right away. You need to take practical steps to getting off these social medias, because they are consuming your attention. They are consuming your mental health. They are deteriorating it. And it's preventing you from moving your life in a direction that can take it somewhere where you're actually going to feel happy. And if you're a young person like I am, I'm 18, maybe you're younger or a little bit older, I'm sure pretty much everyone around you has social media. Maybe there's like one who everyone thinks is weird for not having social media, but it's the opposite. If you're on social media and the only way you talk to your friends is through Snapchat or Instagram, and you're texting these people constantly, seeing what they're doing, then you are weird for that, because you're not supposed to be knowing what everyone is doing all the time. And you're not actually living life, just watching what other people are doing, or updating everyone on what you're eating, or when you're working out, or putting all this shit on your stories. And it's sad to see that the majority of communication between young people is through these apps, and it's become detrimental to the social skills of a lot of people. And they're so stimulated all the time, and their attention span is pretty much non-existent. They can't even, I'm not saying them as like I have not been there as myself. I'm saying our generation has been absolutely screwed over with these social medias. There's very little communication one-on-one between people anymore without the use of phones, and there's very little people who have an attention span to actually sit and do something for hours and hours and find what they're passionate about. Now, if you use social media as your main source of communication, there's one thing that you can do right now, and it will save you hours and hours of your life, probably years of your life. Put on your story, if anyone wants to communicate with me outside of this app, my phone number is this, because I am getting off this app and I will not be back on it. Put your phone number in there and see who actually texts you on your phone number. And if they don't, then they're probably not your friend anyway, because if you're only communicating them with the intention of saving a snap streak or getting up your snap score, then what are you doing? That is not your friend at all. You'd be a lot happier if you had 1, 2, or 3 real friends that you can actually go do fun stuff out out with, like going for a hike or going to the gym together, or actually interacting with on a daily basis, instead of just texting them a picture of your forehead or the wall with the time, so you're keeping a streak that no one cares about. And if you're over the age of 18 and you're starting to move into school and you're trying to find your career, then you need to get off social media even more, because your attention and your time needs to be put to whatever in life that you want to be doing. You cannot be spending 3 hours a day scrolling on TikTok, trying to beat someone in a competitive career field as well. You need to have 100% focus on improving your life and building this life for yourself where you're actually happy. All of us have dreams. No matter how big, how small, all of us have dreams. And to pursue them, we need time, and we need focus, and we need discipline. We need to be able to put our time into what we actually enjoy doing and where we want our life to take it. These social media apps are so good at stealing our time and stealing our attention, because that's what makes them money. They have been designed by engineers and computer scientists to be able to stimulate your brain in a way that brings your attention away from everything else that you want to do. And there are so many people who will never get off these apps, and that is extremely sad to me, but that's their choice. I'm sure we all know how addictive social media is at this point. It's not a secret that these apps just want your attention for money, but there's still a lot of people who won't get off of them. And the sad thing is, you don't even enjoy being on them that much. If you're just scrolling through TikTok, you might laugh at like one thing, and it actually like makes you laugh for like a second, and then you just keep mindlessly scrolling, just sitting there breathing through your mouth with hunched over posture, and it's bad for all the blue light for your brain, is messing up your sleep, and you're just sitting there not actually getting out and experiencing how life actually feels. So to actually save yourself from these social medias, you need two things. You need discipline, and you need patience. The first time you try to get off social media, it probably won't work. It's going to come back. It's like any addiction. It takes a lot of time. But you also need patience to be able to reduce your time spent on these apps in a way that's going to take a lot, like, how do I explain this? This is a long-term battle, not a short one. You need to be able to actually start seeing the progression. Okay, last week I was spending 2 hours a day on Instagram. This week, I'm going to try and reduce it down to an hour and a half. There, that's progress. And then eventually maybe you push whatever you're doing and being on social media. Don't check it till the last hour a day before you go to sleep. There, you've gone your whole day without checking social media. Now, maybe you go 2 days without checking social media. Then you go 4. And once you've gone a week without it, you're living without it and you don't even need it anymore. It's just breaking this cycle of constantly checking in on what everyone is doing and what everyone is thinking about you. And trust me, you will be so much happier when this shit is not on your mental all the time, because you don't need to know what everyone else is doing. That's not how we're meant to live. If you see a friend and you run into them on the side of the road, but you've been checking on their story for the last month constantly and you know what they're always doing, you're not actually going to be happy to see them. But if you run into your friend walking down the street and you haven't seen them or talked to them in 2 months because you've all been so busy working on your purpose or doing something else, you're going to actually be excited to see them, and your relationship is going to be so much stronger when you actually talk. You're going to have stuff to tell them instead of just been posting on your story, and you're actually going to have been living. You're going to be outside doing cool stuff, looking at amazing views. Maybe you start traveling and people don't know where you've been because you're not posting it on your story all the time. You're actually using what you've been given in life to live, instead of just constantly sitting there watching what everyone else is doing and feeling like garbage about yourself. So you've been informed on these social medias, and it is time to make the change. You are too good to be sitting there wasting your life away on these apps that don't even bring you any true happiness. Find your purpose. Find your life. You got this.